Oh, yeah, I'm going to need a few more of these this season. Well, welcome back to Not So Mid Major, where, I'm just going to talk about the Sharks right now. This is my favorite team of all time. I grew up a Sharks fan, and unfortunately, what are we going to expect from the Sharks this season? Well, whole lot of nothing, unfortunately. So here's the thing. Yes, Sharks had some great years, and unfortunately, they didn't win the Stanley Cup in those years. And they're in a very bad rebuild this year, and probably for the next, painful 3 to 5 years. But hopefully, they can be back to the wild card. But let's start off talking about Sharks season this year. And who are the players this year? It's kind of a mixed bag of a lot of different things, and it's a lot of different looks, but it is a young team this year. Obviously, Hurdle's back, Couture's back, but he is injured right now. Vlasic, Ferrar, and Barabanov, as well as those additions. Mike Hoffman finally getting a shot in teal for the San Jose Sharks, Anthony Duclair, Mikhail Granlund, who is unfortunately now on IR, Philip Zadina and Jan Ruda, plus others, but it's a lot of just kind of little no names here and there, or kind of young guys. And the goaltending situation right now this year, oof. Obviously, we're going to have Capo Kakinen. Last year, 883 save percentage and a 3.23 goals against average, 920 and 7 record, but again, he didn't really have a defensive core in front of him, so I can't really blame him for a lot of those stats. But plus, we do have Mackenzie Blackwood, who with the Devils last year had a 10-6-2 record, 3.20 goals against average, 893 save percentage. So who knows what the goaltending situation is going to be like. I'm guessing it's probably going to be a 50-50 split between Kakinen and Blackwood, but who knows? The team in front of them is really rough this year, unfortunately. So then looking into the October schedule, this year Sharks just played the Vegas Golden Knights, which we will do a recap of shortly after this. Plus they're going to be playing Colorado Avalanche, Carolina Hurricanes, Boston Bruins all at home, and then they're going to go on a road trip to Nashville, play the Predators, then go to Florida, play the Panthers first, then the Lightning, then actually play Carolina Hurricanes away, and then Washington Capitals before returning home in November. So where should we expect the wins or points for this October schedule? Well, wins, I'm guessing maybe get a win out of Nashville and maybe in Washington, D.C. against the Capitals. Who knows? I'm probably expecting more of a tie against the Panthers, but who knows? It's not. It's a very rough start to a schedule where you have to play this defending Stanley Cup champions, the Vegas Golden Knights, plus the year before's Stanley Cup champion, the Colorado Avalanche, and then you also have the Hurricanes and the Bruins, who are also in the top of the league. It is a rough homestand, so I'm not expecting any wins at home in the October schedule, but hopefully in November we do. So let's talk about the Vegas Golden Knight game. Well, like I mentioned, this is the youngest starting roster that the Sharks has had in a long time, 17 years for this. Granted, in those 17 years, yeah, there was Patrick Marleau, Joe Thornton, and Joe Pavelski really carrying a weight of that age, but this is a very young squad, so let's be realistic. Going forward, we're not going to expect a lot from this team. But I am excited to see what Bordelot and Eklund can do this year, especially getting full time. And like I mentioned before, Mike Hoffman finally in teal, that we could see him instead of that 1 day contract that he had before getting traded away during that whole period. But let's be honest, that stadium at that game opener was pretty empty. Yes, it's a Thursday night, but man, that hurt to see how many seats were open during that night. So hopefully at Saturday's game against the Avalanche, hopefully there's a little bit more fans, but that's probably going to be average attendance that we saw on Thursday throughout this entire season at home in the Sharks tank. So let's talk about that first period. It was great, and I had a lot of hope that this team may have surprised a lot of people, especially in that first period, starting off with a good rivalry fight with Kyle Burroughs after a clean check on Michael Amadio. And it actually looked like Burroughs was going to win that fight after getting like 2 or 3 good punches on Kolasar, but it's kind of tough when you lose your helmet halfway through the fight and the other guy still has his on. And unfortunately, yes, Burroughs did lose the fight, but it was a good start to the season. It kind of got a lot of energy going. And then shortly after that fight, Sharks got a power play after a pretty dumb holding call from the Knights. And here's what was interesting about that power play unit that we saw. Barabanov, Hurdle, Hoffman, Duclair, and Granlund was the starting unit. 5 forwards, no defensemen. And here's the thing, that first power play, it felt like it was going to work. There was only 2 shots that counted on net, but there were 2 or 3 other chances as well. And there was a lot of movement on those power plays, especially from the blue line going forward. It wasn't like last year and the years before where it was just 2 guys standing on opposite sides on that blue line just passing back and forth or maybe up and down the boards. It was a lot of movement going forward to the net and trying to create these triangle plays, these power play movements where you are trying to get those open opportunities in front of the net and get a quick pass in and a tip in. And yes, unfortunately, Sharks did not score on that power play, but the offense felt very quick. It felt quicker than it has been in previous years, especially on that power play and even during just open ice skate where it was even strength. And guess what? Sharks got another chance for a power play after that first Team E timeout, but results unfortunately were very different after this one. Knights almost had probably 2 or 3 shorthanded goals on that, and that's the issue of not having a true defenseman on a power play unit, is because those forwards don't know how to play that position. So I'm very interested to see what David Quinn does going forward. If it's the choice he is going to make for this first power play unit, who knows? Maybe he does switch it up later on the year, but I mean, again, Sharks aren't going to really do anything this year, so why not be a little experimental? Who knows? Maybe something works. But then, towards the end of the period, with about 4.5 minutes left, Knights did score, and unfortunately, it was pretty predictable when the Knights were coming up that they were going to go score that goal. Too much standing around, players not coming back, and rookie mistakes all around. And let me give credit, it was a nice play from William Karlsson to go around the net and find Amadio open in front for the one-timer, but you also had the issues of Zadina was getting back too slow, Bordeleau left Amadio wide open, and what was Burrows doing? Like, look at this photo. What is Burrows doing? He's just hugging his player against the post, and I guess is being an extra player right there. But it didn't work, and he may have been trying to draw that goaltender interference. Sharks didn't decide to challenge it, but what are you doing there? But unfortunately, that's the team that we're kind of looking at this year. Is that kind of mistakes that we're going to see a lot this year. But again, a little bit of hope came around. Filip Zadina with a throw it to the net and let's see what happens goal. About 2 minutes later, it got that weird bounce off of Hertl's leg and just turn around, throw it to the net. Thompson's blocker couldn't save it and it goes in. Sharks tied 1-1 going into intermission, feeling good, and that one big mistake on the Knights goal, but making it for up on the other end. Oh yeah, and before we actually go and talk about the second period, let's not actually forget about Kakinen's last second save on Karlsson's spinorama, but able to pick it up. Sharks tied, but then still getting outshot 13-6 in favor of the Knights despite having 2 power play opportunities. So jumping into the second period, to me felt pretty boring for the most part. Yes, there was a lot of shots here and there from the Sharks, but it felt very routine of let's just shoot it from the point, hoping we get a rebound and tip in from there. There wasn't much passing and controlling of the puck that we saw in the first period. But then we actually got to experience the Sharks penalty kill. So if Quinn's going to do 5 forwards on a power play unit, would that mean he does 4 defensemen on the penalty kill unit? Well, just seeing Ferraro and Ruda was enough, and the Knights' power play really felt slow for that first power play that they had and didn't seem to put much pressure on the Sharks despite having like 2 okay shots, but they weren't moving the puck all that much, so it was very good to see that penalty kill. But then we finally saw the Sharks become the team that we know that we're going to love this season with about 2 minutes left in the period. Vegas Golden Knights getting the control of the puck and just making laps around the entire zone. I swear, I counted like 2 or 3 entire laps that the puck did around before it eventually went in. And honestly, what a bullet of a goal from Haig to go 5-hole on Kakinen. Kakinen just needs to get better with getting his pads down or holding the stick there to hopefully deflect the puck. It was just too easy of a shot and just basically made Kakinen look like Swiss cheese, to be honest. And then flash forward about a minute when the goal announcement was still going off. Knights rushing back into the zone with a big defensive positioning mistake from Jan Ruda. So let's look at this photo right here. Ruda is coming across from his right side trying to play this puck, leaving Thrun literally right behind him. And unfortunately, Ruda couldn't control the puck, and Ron Bjerg easily picks it up and passes it right to Wah, who is at his right, at the bottom of the screen from what you're seeing right now. And Thrun, unfortunately, is out of position. He can't catch up and can't make a play on him because Ruda came over out of position. So, really, there's no fault to Thrun that I have, and there's no fault to Kakinen. Ruda needs to be smart and needs to know where he is positioned on this ice, because if he makes that mistake, we see that open man that's going to have an easy shot to the goal. So unfortunately, now we are down to going into the third and starting to show kind of the team that we're going to be expecting this year, but sloppy and pathetic opening to the third period. 2 full minutes into the zone for the Vegas Golden Knights. Not only do the Knights get a goal in the first 3 minutes of the period, which we will talk about in a little bit, but Sharks couldn't even get it out. Knights had it, and there was times like this right here where there was 5 guys surrounding one Knights player. Why are you guys doing this? You guys are smarter than this. You need to be picking up your man. You need to be figuring this out now. And unfortunately, the sloppiness continued into a face-off in that defensive zone where Pahal was left standing alone. Burroughs basically screening Kakinen, trying to block the shot, and it goes in. This sloppiness does need to be figured out, and I know it's going to be a rough season, but just start to get used to these kinds of mistakes this year. Hopefully we'll figure them out in 3 years. And those 2 goals at the end of the second really sucked the life out of the Sharks, because it never felt like there was an answer or a chance to do something except for maybe like one opportunity with about 6 minutes left in the game with Strum on a breakaway. But this team had a lot of hope in that first period, and everything just kind of went away in the last 2 periods. And it's going to look like this a lot, where there's going to be maybe some glimmer of hope in the beginning, but then either it's fatigue, it's either we're just too tired, or our coaching staff doesn't know how to coach, or we're going to make a dumb mistake and never recover from it. But this is going to be a rough team to see this year. And again, I know that we aren't expecting to make the playoffs this year. We're not expecting to get a wild card. And yes, we are hoping that we get good draft picks and keep them this year. And hopefully Bordelot and some of these young guys are coming up into the NHL, getting that experience and showing what it's going to be like for them in 3 years when they have full opportunities. So who knows? Let's hope that this is going to be a bright future ahead of us. But right now, let's just go through these frustrating times, unfortunately. And as always, if you like these videos, please hit like, please hit subscribe. I am going to be talking about the San Jose Sharks, and I will also let you know this. I also have plans to talk about college basketball because I am a Gonzaga basketball fan, so I'm going to probably be posting some videos about them this season as well. So I'm going to try to do a little bit more videos this year, trying to do some things a little bit different, but still keeping it in the hockey, college basketball context. So I will try to make a schedule for hockey either on Fridays or Saturdays. There will be posted videos there. And then probably for college basketball, I'll probably be doing 2 videos a week, I hope, either on Monday, Tuesday, or on Saturday, Sunday. But probably 2 videos a week for college basketball and probably just 1 video a week for hockey. But until next time, please stay safe and please stay healthy.